got the idea, was from a conference last year, but we just decided, like, we just threw ourselves into it and said, we're going to do these. We are going to do these interactive notebooks. And we did some research and we found different activities and those kind of things. But it was evolving as we went. So there were things that we changed, ideas, like even concepts on how we were going to run it. But so these are some things that we just said, yeah, we're definitely going to do a BOP next year, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. This year we used like table of contents at the beginning of the book, and so kids would record the different activities on a table of contents, but there was no really rhyme or reason as to how the activities went in, except for just in the order as in which we did them. So we decided that next year we will divide it into maybe 3 sections, so that it will have its own writing section and own reading section, and then word work, which is like our vocabulary and roots, and so that everything will stay a little bit more, even more organized. We didn't really do a lot of writing within it as far as on their own. I mean, they were more writings in response to their reading, and so we want to include those into our box because, again, it's their brain on, it's their thinking on paper. And we want to add a pocket that will stay attached so that they can actually keep their formative assessments. One of the things that I tried this year, it wasn't a pocket for them to keep it in, but anytime that I did a formative, I always try to put it on a certain colored paper. So, for example, one unit of vocabulary might all be on green paper, and so that way they quickly, again, they learn by color, they can quickly look in their folders or in their notebooks and say, oh, I know everything I need is on this green paper. And so I really want to next year be really consistent with that, so they know that I'm working up to this summative. Anything that is on green or anything that's on yellow or whatever the case may be, all goes together, and that will help me prepare.
And if you're going to commit to the BOP, you actually need to make sure that you have a lot of time to plan and for your kids to actually do the activities. Jenny has 3 classes, and I was in 1 block of them, and I know that we were significantly behind because of the array of the abilities that we had. So there was a lot of makeup time that I had to catch up the kids that were behind. So if you're going to do it, you need to make sure that you plan ahead and you make sure you have everything that you need, and you allot for that time to glue and paste or
we even started cutting the materials out ahead of time, just because it was amazing. I never even thought about how much trouble a 7th grader would have cutting. I mean, they just don't have a lot of practice with it, evidently. And so we would start having things that even almost like my students did in groups. Yeah, you need lots of trash cans ready to go. But we would have things cut out and have them by groups. So everything in group 1 would be ready to go, already cut out. Group 2, group 3, and we had little pockets ready, just because we hadn't even expected the time frame to be so long with the cutting and the pasting.
As far as the intervention aspect of it, I just wanted to go back because we had most highly accelerated kids in the class, along with the special needs student. So the BOP, like I said, she did a presentation on a group activity, but then when they actually did their own pages on their own reading, it was on their level, so it was differentiation right there in a nutshell. That saved me a lot of work. I didn't have to do a lot of modifying or anything like that, but the kids, I think our kids really benefited from it because of the colors, the graphic organizers. It was on their level, and they were included in the classroom just like everybody else. So unless you knew who those students were, then it was just a typical classroom.